I want to do histogram-wise today. This is all. There are other kinds of graphs. Ian mentioned a scatter plot earlier. One of my favorite kinds of graphs. Works great for bivariate. Let's deal with that when we deal with bivariate data. We could have pie charts. Another one of my favorites. Let's deal with that when we do probability distributions. There are cumulative histograms. Those are awesome too. Let's talk about them when we talk about baby weights and percentiles. There are other kinds of graphs as well. I want you to just sit back and relax for a few moments. These are the ones that are going to come up next are ones that I've shared, or I've found, excuse me, over the years, and I want to share them with you. So, here's one. One of my favorite graphical displays I've ever seen. Disturbing and interesting all at the same time. Check it out. Precious little on it. Precious little on it. Good. I heard a what? You were waiting for a graph. You got the graph, my friend.
Is that real?
That is based on real data from 2006, I believe. Granda Reporta Gem did a series they called the Flag Series. Flags of the World Series, there were a dozen. I'm going to show you 3 of them. Or 2 of them. 3 of them. I'm going to show you 3 of them. You see, you're waiting. What Terrence said was great. I'm waiting for a graph. Friends, the graph is right there. What they did was they took the Chinese flag and said the yellow region are the 14-year-olds that are studying, and the red region is the 14-year-olds that are working. I'm assuming they defined that well, and those are opposing. If you are working, you're not studying, and if you're studying, you're not working. I'm assuming that's true. If that's true, that is amazing, isn't it? What percentage are studying? Go ahead, throw a number out. Between 5 and 10, somewhere in there, right around 5%. So for every 20 Chinese 14-year-old, for every 14, yeah, for every 20 kids in that age group, one studying, the other 19 are working. That's crazy to think about, right? Especially doing our culture and what we do.
Well, it's probably more now.
It could very well be, but the fact that that says all that without saying hardly anything at all. Pretty cool, huh? Ready for this one? You might remember this one. If you watched football this summer. The flag isn't quite correct. The flag isn't quite correct. There's a banner that runs across it. It says something in Portuguese, something like, we used to be able to kick your ass in football, now Germany kicked ours. Something like that. Something along those lines, I don't know. But the important thing, I didn't mean to disrespect by that. I love Brazil. Beautiful team. It's got their asses handed to them. Look at the colors. No disrespect intended. None. I love watching Neymar play. Until they beat him up and send him out. But look at those colors. Green. See the green? People who live on less than $10 a month. $10 a month in Brazil. Yellow. People who live with less than 100, which I'm assuming means less than 100 but more than 10. Blue. Live with less than $1,000 per month. And then white. More than $100,000 per month.
And this represents each country?
This represents Brazil.
It's not just worldwide.
This is just Brazil.
I know that like $10 a month, like that would be pretty proportionate around the world.
It could very well be, depending on the cost. The cost of living is ignored here. What this is showing you is the disparity of wealth in the country of Brazil, which is something we've been talking about for years and years and years, but then you see it starkly put out like this. And then you hear stories about how the stadiums had trouble being built because of corruption and everything, and you're like, I wonder.
Cost of living is very high.
Cost of living very high, $10 a month. Now we're talking about, you've got a huge country here. Brazil is top 5 countries in area on Earth, I believe. I could be wrong. It's at least top 10. It's top 5. You've got the Amazon region, the rainforest region. You've got Rio. You know, you've got huge cities and tiny little backwater areas, right? Disparity. There's disparity graphed for you. Is it a histogram? Could you do this with a histogram? Yeah. Of course you could. You know the Pareto diagram if you wanted to. Isn't this more like, especially based on what you guys said with the China one. I heard this, what? And then I was waiting for a graph. Yes, and that's what, as educators, I think we deny you guys some of that. You could figure this out without having a graph in front of you. It said, here's one for you. A little bit dated, but still one of my favorites.
Don't know where Iraq is.
One of my faves. Red, in favor of the Iraq War. White, against the Iraq War. Blue, can't find Iraq on a map. 1 in 10, or 1 in 5, just about. That's about 20% of the area of the flag. More comical than accurate. I've actually tested it in, I've tested this in 244. You know what happens now? And this goes to show you our institutional memory is very short. Now, more people can't find it. You know why?
Because it's so
It's not the news anymore. Now it's coming back, because we're comparing ISIS to Iraq and Afghanistan. but it's coming back. But between the time this graphic came out and 5 years after, or 6 years and 7 years, even though the war was still going on at that point, people couldn't find it again. More couldn't find it because it wasn't in the news anymore. Michelle?
Do you think part of that has to do with just us being desensitized?
It could very well, because we were inundated with it, and then it's like, oh my God, somebody show me a squirrel on a skateboard. Yeah, seriously, absolutely. Exactly, yeah, totally, exactly. Yeah, I desensitized. Ted Turner, one of the worst things Ted Turner ever did was give us CNN.
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly. I got a few more in here. There's a number of these. I want you to kind of, if you have time later, this will be available to you online, of course. This is one of the more powerful ones, I think, that gives you a sense of scale. That's well, a picture of a $100 bill. That's how they're often shipped. $100 bills, $10,000, little stack. If you wanted to know what $1 million looked like,
Oh, like that.
it would look like that with a 6 foot tall person. This is a Google mashup. I love this one. So $1 million would look like that in hundreds. So easy to move it around. Thankfully, you could get your hands on some. If you put a bunch of it on a pallet and stack it like a cube, you get $100 million. If you put it on a pallet, because a forklift you can move it around. You can buy a forklift with one of those stacks and then move it around with the rest. If you take 10 of those pallets, what would you have? Yeah, this is where we have to forget we're Americans and think we're Europeans. 10 of those get you to $1 billion. Right? 10, 100 million is 1 billion. It's easier to say 1 billion, right? Now these words we hear in the news quite a bit. That's billion. So remember what $1 million looked like. That was $1 million. Here's $1 billion. Okay, we're going to do a little jump now. We're going to go to 1 trillion. Hazard a guess as to what that looks like with the guy for reference, okay? Just have a reference, okay? Get it in your mind. Find the dude. They're stacked too high. That's $1 trillion. 1 trillion. As of 2009, that was your national debt. It's 17 trillion now. It's 17 trillion. So what was it there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 trillion. Almost doubled since then.
Thanks, man.
Sorry. You gotta know this, friends. Because politicians, we are spending a lot of money on this problem. We spent 1.5 million. You spent 1.5 million? That's not a whole lot compared to what you threw away at the Pentagon last year. So this is the kind of thing that you need to pay attention to. $1 million versus $1 billion versus $1 trillion. Get ready, because quadrillion's coming next. Quadrillion, which is the next 3 zeros, is coming next. Just get ready. All right. Now, I do want to leave you with one more. This is one of my favorites. I want to supply you guys with a link on your schedule page. I just love these. I'm sorry, I can't stop. So does anybody recognize this painting? It's a Van Gogh. That's correct. Skull with cigarette, although it's not. It looks like a crappy replication of it, doesn't it? It's kind of grainy. What I want you to do is I want you to focus. Oops. Should be a circle there. I want you to focus on that section of it for a second as I zoom in. It's looking worse. It's like bad resolution of a picture, yeah? Focus on those teeth. Zoom in. Focus on that and zoom in. The entire picture is, right here, is a replication of the Van Gogh done in 1885. It was done by a gentleman named Chris Jordan. I will supply you a better link and some better hyperlinks on your schedule page. This picture is made up of 200,000 packs of cigarettes, equal to the number of Americans that die every 6 months tied to cigarette smoking. He's got an entire depressing series like this that makes you question just about everything you do on a daily basis. Amazingly, like, boom! Powerful, amazingly kicks you right in the butt like that. I will share more links with you in the resources page, so if you don't want to write that down right now. I only have one more question as you leave. I have one more question. And you don't have to write this down. I will write it down and bring it back on Monday, but I want to make a nice computerized graphic. How many keys do you have with you today? I'm going to call out the numbers. Oh, God. He's telling me. I don't know. 2. 3. What I'm going to do, let me go around the room. I won't count myself.
3.
How many have none? How about 0? Anybody have 0? 1, 2. Okay.
How'd you get it?
Don't worry about keeping track of this. I'll keep track of this for us. We'll analyze it on Monday. 1 key. 1 key. We got 1, 2, 3. 3 of you have 1 key. How many of you have 2 keys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 keys.
That's not good. That's right.
4 keys. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 keys. please.
I have 4.
All right, let me get 6 first, Joanne. 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We gotta add 1 of the 4, make it 5 as well. Okay, we got more than 6. We got 7. We do have a 7. We have 1 7. Shell. 8. 1, 2, 3. Love this distribution already. It's wonderful. Anybody got 9? Love this. Anybody got 10? Anybody got more than 10? Losing my larynx. Cool. I'll bring that back on Monday in more concise form so we can play with it. We'll see you guys then. I'll get the website updated for you so you got all these resources. I'll get more quizzes for you for next week. Thank you. What? You look like you're see, you're
all black.
that's true. I let you. That's exactly true. And you're correct. I'm going to go find Keith. Huh? Absolutely you do. I'm going to count you as 0.
Or at least for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Actually, I gotta still try to figure out.
Oh my God.
When you're telling me,
I see.
so the clip, I tried to catch it, I don't know if I did. I put it on the comment.
Do me a favor. Email me your mark. Did you take a scan of it? Did you take a picture or anything? Take a picture of it and email it to me, and we'll scroll this way by next week. We'll just deal with it old school for now. We'll figure it. Yeah, we're good. Let me. Dude, the quizzes are due on Wednesday. The quizzes, all these quizzes, I try to keep them on Wednesday. So all the stuff we talked about today, I'll make a mention of the schedule page. If you want, you can get in and do as much or as little of the extra resource practice. But I'm going to have the quizzes uploaded for you guys for Wednesday. That's what's going to be on due for next Wednesday. That's the weird thing I have to get used to with my classes. I'm not going to like grade them and then take questions on it. If you got questions, grab me in between the breaks and stuff and ask me, we'll square them away. Absolutely. But others do. Hopefully today or early tomorrow for next Wednesday. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Exactly.
And the quizzes are going to be inside.
More like what we're doing today. Like the Gallup poll we did, I'm going to go find the nicest polls, and we're going to have you analyze that. I'm going to have Tumalo Falls data I'm going to have you guys analyze by saying, is it discrete, is it continuous, is it that kind of stuff. So like we did today, but just like little snapshots of it.
Okay.
That's all, as much as little as you need.
Perfect.
Cool, man. You got it, you got it. Jump safe, you too. Friends, I got Sandra.
Yeah.
I got Silvierto.
Silviano.
Silviano.
You got it.
Close, damn close.
Italian name.
Sandra. It's an Italian name, exactly.
Yeah.
Italian name. I should go to get that. Even like Sean Rule.
Go ahead.
My mother's Patinelli.
Is there maybe some things I could read? I'm already can tell I'm having troubles. I hate gray area. And
Oh God.
I know.
We're gonna make you unhate that.
Well, good.
Yeah.
So
Reverse
how,
that.
Come here, come with me.
how,
Come with me.
how can I think about these things and just go,
Come with me.
oh gosh, this is
Well,
all crap data, and I can never
Oh,
trust anything again.
First of all, Sandra, just so you know,
Oh,
will
you
do
can't
that
trust
forever.
anything.
Right, you will do that forever. This is the great problem with American education is you should have been doing that since first grade.
Well, that's true.
You should have been doing uncertainty measures since first grade. You weren't. You were taught arithmetic, you were taught algebra, and you were taught everything
Is
has
that
a
not
defined
precise
answer.
enough?
Yes, but the thing is, life isn't precise.
I know.
How many miles you live here from your house? What do you think?
I live on the south end of
I need more precision than whatever you're about to say.
I know.
See, but no,
You know, I'm
no,
gonna get my
don't
car and
use
actually
that,
go
though.
find
But even that is not gonna be a little bit off because your number's a little off.
Yeah.
You just need to get used to the gray, and you will get used to the gray. So my
Okay.
suggestion is, remember the extra resources thing I showed you yesterday?
The enrichment?
On Richmond? Yeah, get in there.
Okay.
And start looking at that. The quizzes for next week will have that as well.
Okay.
But if you need more practice, just get into those extra resources once you start playing with them.
Because I know with my psychology stuff too, they ask the same questions, but
Yes,
it's more
they
like
do.
you do need to make it more precise. And so I keep seeing these things and I'm like, oh my gosh, like
Well,
where do
yes.
you stop? Where do you?
You can't have it completely precise unless you take everybody's.
Yes, exactly.
Unless you take a census.
Don't
So your
challenge me.
p-value is going to be less than 0.05 or something.
Right. Now, but Sandra, the point you make that Aaron has echoed perfectly actually
Yes.
is that the problem with once you get to the data, once you have the data, it's almost a foregone conclusion what's going to happen. It's getting the data and not knowing how to trust it. That's why what you said is so valuable because you have to question where the data came from because the data is where the conclusion is coming from.
Mhm.
If the data was crap, you ever heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out?
Yes.
Case in point with statistics. If you got mank data, you can make it say something.
I guess
Doesn't mean
you
it's valuable.
show
Well,
us
and you gotta be
better statistics.
244.
Okay.
Here,
which I
here-
take into
yes,
account.
good. Here, we're taking the liberties of saying the data's okay. Let's see what to do with it. Then
Oh,
we
okay.
back, because once I get you through 243, I've taught you to appreciate gray area more. Then you're ready to really
I watch
criticize.
the news with my dad too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna be able to watch it again.
You won't, you won't, you won't, not the same way anyway. You
No.
won't watch it the same way. You will watch it in such a
And he
way
loves
that's
baseball
critical.
stats.
Good, and you know what's funny? They shouldn't call baseball stats. They should call them parameters. Because if you think
Yes.
about it, the back of a card, they know everything that player did. It's not really a statistic, it's a parameter.
Oh.
But we're never going to learn that because we've been
Oh, it's
brought up
still
on
running?
their statistics. Isn't
Yes.
that amazing?
Yeah.
There's no margin of error
Still running?
like Schmidt's
Probably why I
1979.
enjoy talking to him, because it is like business.
It is precise. It is as
Yeah.
precise as it is. There is no argument.
Okay,
There's no uncertainty. Now, if you try to predict what your player's going to do next year, then you got to put some uncertainty on it,
okay.
right?
Yes.
Anytime
I mean,
you're reporting
I love this stuff, but I can just go, oh my gosh, this is not
Oh, yeah.
how I function. And
you will.
I don't-
We'll function
hate it.
together. Like, no, you can. And I
I'm
don't.
a
I
psychology major too. I'm like, who
Oh.
cares about this?
You are going to. That's the trick. Is I'm really glad you're taking psych classes in tandem with this class.
Yes.
You have Andrea Whittle for psych classes.
I have Rebecca Walker Sands right now.
Oh, I love her so much. And Andrea and Tom and the social psych folks.
Mm-hmm.
All of us share students so frequently, and it's
Yes.
really all about learning the mechanics here and the applications there, and then some